Welcome back to Lessons at Locust Grove. This week's lesson is on the study of genealogy and how to make a family tree. Before we get started, let's take a look at some vocabulary words. What is genealogy? Genealogy is the study of who came before you in your family. We often call this family history, so you'll hear us use both words today. Genealogy is the study of your ancestors. Those are the people that you are descended from. So you come from your parents, and your parents come from your grandparents. These are just the beginnings of your genealogy. The most common aspect of genealogy is creating your family tree. So what is a family tree? A family tree is a diagram that shows your entire family. This includes you, your parents, your brothers and sisters, your aunts and uncles, your grandparents, and many more. Another common vocabulary word in genealogy is surname or family name. This simply means the last name of that person. So your surname would be your last name. Believe it or not, people's surnames can change. This is called a married name and a maiden name. A maiden name is a woman's name that she inherited from her parents before getting married. So for example, before Lucy Cron became Lucy Cron, her name was Lucy Clark, with her surname being Clark. When she married Major William Cron, her name became Lucy Cron, with the surname being Cron. Knowing your ancestors' surnames are very important in being able to do your family history research. Ask your parents what the surnames are in your family. The next important vocabulary word is paternal. Paternal means coming from your father's line. So your paternal grandparents would be your father's parents. So when you do your family history, you'll have a paternal line, meaning your father's line, and a maternal line, which means coming from your mother's line. So for example, your maternal grandparents would be your mother's parents. We'll look more into paternal and maternal lines as we get to our family tree examples. We know that all families look different, so your tree might look different from someone else's, and that's okay. So let's take a look at how you would make your own family tree. If you start your family tree, who do you think you start with? You'd start with yourself. You will be at the base or the trunk of your family tree. So in this box, you would write your name. If you want to include more information, you could also write your date of birth and where you were born. But what would come after you on your family tree? Your parents. So you would put your parents above you in your family tree. So in the worksheet, you see the parent boxes above you. In those boxes, you'll put your parents' names, and if you know their birthdays and where they were born, you could put that information in as well. So you'll put all four of your grandparents above your parents. Now, don't forget, if you have where they were born and their birthdays, you would put that information with them as well. This way, you can continue building on your family tree with your grandparents' parents. So let's take a look at the Clark family tree. We've started this family tree with Jonathan Clark and his wife, Anne Rogers. When Anne Rogers married Jonathan Clark, she took his last name and became Anne Rogers Clark. Below Jonathan and Anne's names, you'll see two important dates. The date next to B would be their birth year, and the date next to D would be their death year. So Jonathan was born in 1725 and died in 1799. Anne was born in 1728 and died in 1798. You can see how their two boxes have already given us a great amount of information. What Jonathan's name was, and when he was born, and when he died. The same goes for Anne. Now what do you think would go beneath Jonathan and Anne? All of their children. So you'll see they had quite a large family. They had 10 children. Their first child was Jonathan. Their second was George Rogers Clark. Third was Anne. Then they had John, Richard, Edmund, Lucy, the seventh child, who we will continue to talk about, and after Lucy they had 3 more children, Elizabeth, William, and Francis. So Lucy, the seventh child, is who we are going to continue looking at on this family tree. You'll see Lucy was born in 1764 and she died in 1838. Next to Lucy, you'll see a connecting line. That line goes to her husband, William Cron, who was born in 1752 and died in 1820. Below William and Lucy, you'll see all of their 9 children: John, George, William, Charles, Anne, Eliza, Charles and Nicholas, the twins, and lastly, Edmund. So you can see that family trees are actually a great wealth of information. All in one place, you have information about your family members. You can go back as far as you can. Doing your family history requires quite a bit of detective work. Some great places to get started studying your genealogy would first be with your parents and grandparents. Ask them questions. What are their maiden names? Where were they born? They might have some more information that you might not even be thinking about. Ask them about their family history and see how far back you can go.